into one of Ukraine's most rapidly evolving tools in its war with Russia, drones.
The war in Ukraine, drones have become a key weapon for Russia's war strategy.
Ukraine is now producing approximately 4 million drones per year, more than the combined output of all NATO members. Not 4,000, not 40,000, 4 million. According to Bloomberg reporting from November 2025, that's more than the entire NATO alliance produces annually, despite having 32 member states and combined defense budgets exceeding $1 trillion. And at the center of Ukraine's drone revolution sits a unit that NATO strategists study obsessively, the 12th Special Forces Brigade Azov of the National Guard, whose Unmanned Systems Battalion has rewritten the rules of modern warfare. According to commanders interviewed in 2025, Azov's drone operators don't just destroy Russian targets, they create 2-kilometer buffer zones of machines between Ukrainian infantry and Russian firepower, turning flesh and blood soldiers into mission controllers who never have to walk into steel. They've pioneered fiber-optic FPV drones immune to electronic warfare jamming, a technology NATO forces are only beginning to test. They deploy mother drones carrying multiple FPV kamikaze units that leapfrog radio horizons and release killers when geometry aligns perfectly. And they've developed integrated software, GIS ARTA for artillery, Krapiva for Android tablets that turns every Ukrainian soldier into a node in a targeting network where drones spot artillery strikes and the cycle repeats in minutes, not hours. Let's start with numbers that shocked Pentagon analysts. According to Army recognition reporting from November 2025, Ukraine produced approximately 2.2 million UAVs in 2024 alone, with more than 1.5 million being FPV combat drones. Production accelerated through 2025, reaching approximately 4 million drones annually by year's end. From a pre-war base of roughly 10 manufacturers, Ukraine built an ecosystem of several hundred drone producers in under 3 years. The economics are staggering. Ukrainian FPV drones cost between $300 to $500, far below Western equivalents. A $500 drone can destroy a $5 million Russian T-90M tank. That's a 10-to-1 cost exchange ratio. According to reporting, Ukraine's domestic drone industry generated tens of billions of hryvnias in revenue in 2024 and is expanding rapidly as state contracts, Western investment, and battlefield-proven designs converge. But production alone doesn't explain battlefield dominance. What shocked NATO? Ukraine didn't just scale manufacturing. It created innovation ecosystems where battlefield feedback loops between operators and developers iterate solutions in days, not years. The Army of Drones initiative, led by Deputy Prime Minister Mikhailo Fedorov, exemplifies this. Rapid feedback from frontline operators to engineers, public and private funding convergence, massive scaling of both production and training simultaneously. According to CEPA analysis from April 2025, this represents Ukraine's third way between total defense models, Sweden, Finland, and traditional NATO structures, a hybrid combining bottom-up civil society innovation with top-down government coordination. Ukrainian expert Hannah Shelest calls it the most effective defense innovation model since Israel's startup ecosystem. Now zoom into how Azov actually fights. According to commanders interviewed in 2025, Azov formalized what many Ukrainian units were improvising: a dedicated unmanned systems battalion with several hundred troops and literally tens of thousands of drones, from nimble FPV killers to heavy bomber multicopters. Its commander, call sign Yas, describes a unit engineered to put machines between Russian fires and Ukrainian infantry. The mission is doctrinally radical. build a 2-kilometer buffer zone of machines between your riflemen and the enemy, so flesh rarely has to walk into steel. This inverts NATO combined arms doctrine, where infantry and armor advance together. Ukrainian doctrine makes drones the advance guard, absorbing Russian fire, spotting targets, stripping enemy communications, while Ukrainian infantry stays behind the drone wall. According to Euromaidan Press, Azov's drones don't just blow things up. They jam, blind, scout, burn logistics, and strip away the enemy's communications until a larger assault can't even start. This is strategy of denial, death by 1,000 precise cuts. The genius inside the tactics breaks down into 4 layers. Layer 1, the sensor web. Azov saturates the air with reconnaissance quads, cheap, plentiful, constantly replaced. They hunt for antennas, repeaters, ammo caches, and telltale motorcycle rushes. Both sides favor for speed. When Russia shifts tactics from meat grinder waves to small group infiltration, Azov shifts the lens. More micro recon, more attention on trails and culverts where doctrine says nothing should be. According to operators, we spend most time locating targets rather than killing them, because every missile wasted is a gap in the shield protecting infantry behind us. Layer 2, the shot. When the picture is clear, FPVs go to work. But here's where Azov diverges from NATO doctrine. The trick isn't impact, it's the path. Russian electronic warfare throws static across the air. Azov runs layered control, classic RF links, mesh relays on mother drones carrying FPVs forward, and cable-tethered birds flying in total radio silence. Fiber-optic FPVs are the game changer. According to Yaz, they're basically guided spears, immune to jamming, invisible to passive RF sensors, but finicky and demanding to fly. Less than 5% of sorties use them, but when needed, nothing else cuts through EW like a glass knife. The K2 Regiment commander predicted in March 2025 that fiber optics would dominate. 2025 will become the year of fiber optics. He was right. Layer 3, the mother drone concept. Azov's innovation here shocked NATO planners. A larger UAV hauls several FPVs, acts as high repeater, and releases killers when geometry is right. It's a way to leapfrog radio horizons and tree lines without hauling trucks of masked antennas into artillery range. According to reporting, Azov experiments with its own carriers rather than paying for unproven black box gadgets, because battlefield tech is only real once it wins a fight. Layer 4, the night. Darkness used to favor infiltrators. Now it's the drone pilot's favorite time. With thermal optics slung under small airframes, Azov teams prowl after dusk when engines and bodies bloom white against cold ground. Pilots learn to read thermal behavior: a truck that's been idling, a foxhole that just warmed, a generator that shouldn't be there. Then steer munitions onto thin roof armor, turret rings, or parked vehicle backs. NATO's initial reaction to Ukrainian drone tactics was skepticism. Traditional Western doctrine emphasizes exquisite platforms, $30 million MQ-9 Reapers, not $500 FPV kamikazes. The assumption: quality over quantity, surgical strikes over mass saturation. Ukraine proved that assumption catastrophically wrong. According to Atlantic Council reporting from May 2025, former Ukrainian Commander-in-Chief Valery Zaluzhny stated, "The Russian-Ukrainian war has completely changed the nature of warfare. Victory on the battlefield now depends entirely on the ability to outpace the enemy in technological development." Zaluzhny predicted future wars would be won by countries focusing on drones, electronic warfare, and artificial intelligence, not traditional armor and artillery. NATO is scrambling to adapt. According to Defense Scoop, on November 25, 2025, NATO and Ukraine launched Unite Brave NATO, the first joint NATO-Ukraine program on scaling prototyped and tested innovative technologies. The program allocates 10 million euros initially, split equally by NATO's Comprehensive Assistance Package and Ukraine's Ministry of Digital Transformation, scaling to 50 million euros in 2026. The focus areas reveal NATO's learning priorities: counter-drone systems, secure battlefield communications, signals intelligence, uncrewed ground systems, and robust navigation in contested electromagnetic environments. In other words, every challenge Ukrainian forces already solved through battlefield necessity. According to Atlantic Council, NATO members, including Britain and Denmark, are receiving training in drone warfare from Ukrainian military instructors, an unprecedented reversal where a nation receiving military aid teaches its suppliers how to fight. Several European countries, Germany, UK, Netherlands, Norway, Denmark, France, are producing drones in conjunction with Ukrainian designers and companies with live production lines or firm 2026 starts. The fiber optic breakthrough deserves special attention because it represents the single most important counter to Russian electronic warfare. Traditional FPV drones communicate via radio frequencies, easily jammed by Russian systems. Once jammed, the drone is blind, useless. Fiber optic drones trail hair-thin cables connecting operator to aircraft. The cable carries control signals immune to any electronic warfare. You can't jam a physical wire. According to reporting, these drones are invisible to passive RF sensors used by Russian air defenses. They appear on thermal cameras but give no radio signature to trigger countermeasures. The K2 Regiment Commander's March 2025 prediction proved accurate. Fiber optics dominated 2025. According to Drone Warfare Analysis, 2025 will become the year of fiber optics, as both Ukraine and Russia raced to deploy cable-controlled systems. The technology is finicky and demanding to fly. Cables can break, snag on obstacles, or limit range, but the immunity to jamming makes them essential for high-value targets in EW-saturated environments. NATO forces are only beginning to test fiber optic drones. Ukraine has deployed thousands operationally. That experiential gap, lessons learned flying fiber optics under Russian jamming daily, gives Ukrainian operators advantages no training manual can replicate. Ukrainian innovation extends beyond hardware into software that NATO struggles to match. The Kropiva Nettle app, developed by Ukraine's Army SOS NGO with US support starting in 2014, features a user-friendly Android interface, allowing soldiers to share enemy coordinates instantly. According to CEPA, coordinates are immediately engaged by the nearest artillery battery. GIS ARTA for artillery works similarly. Drones spot targets, operators input coordinates, software calculates firing solutions, artillery strikes, all in minutes. According to analysis, these software applications have dramatically expedited Ukraine's targeting process, improving timeliness and effectiveness, and closing the gap in one of Russia's expected military advantages. This is network-centric warfare made real. Every Ukrainian soldier with an Android tablet becomes a targeting node. Every drone becomes eyes for artillery. The cycle repeats: spot, strike, assess, repeat. Russian forces attempting similar integration struggle because they lack Ukraine's innovation ecosystem, where civil society developers, government coordination, and frontline feedback converge. But Ukraine isn't stopping at aerial drones. According to Atlantic Council reporting from January 2026, Ukrainian forces claim to have made military history in late 2025 by deploying a single land drone armed with a mounted machine gun to hold a frontline position for almost 6 weeks. The remote-controlled unmanned ground vehicle, UGV, completed a 45-day combat mission, undergoing maintenance and reloading every 48 hours. According to Mykola Zienkiewicz of Ukraine's 3rd Army Corps, only the UGV system was present at the position. This was the core concept. Robots do not bleed. In November 2025, BBC reported that up to 90% of all supplies to Ukrainian frontline positions around Pokrovsk were being delivered by UGVs. Remote-controlled land drones are harder to jam electronically than aerial drones, harder to spot than trucks, and immune to the FPV kill zones devastating traditional logistics. Ukraine's defense ministry reported it surpassed all UGV supply targets in 2025, with further increases planned for 2026. According to Defense Minister Denis Shmyhal, the development and scaling of ground robotic systems form part of a systematic, human-centric approach focused on protecting personnel. So why did Ukraine's Azov unit and the broader Ukrainian drone ecosystem shock NATO? Because they achieved in 3 years what Western militaries assumed would take a decade. Production: 4 million drones annually versus all NATO combined. Innovation speed: days from operator feedback to design iteration. Cost efficiency: $500 drones destroying $5 million tanks. Tactical evolution: 2-kilometer buffer zones, fiber optics, mother drones, software integration. Doctrinal transformation: machines advance, humans control from safety. According to Bloomberg, Ukrainian officials estimate production will exceed 4.5 million drones in 2025. With Western militaries now adopting precision mass doctrine informed by Ukrainian experience, NATO seeks millions of expendable drones rather than limited, exquisite platforms. But Ukraine already built that capability through battlefield necessity, civil-military innovation ecosystems, and tactical genius that turned defensive war into the world's premier drone warfare laboratory. NATO is learning, but Ukraine is teaching, and Azov is writing the manual. Do you think NATO can match Ukraine's drone innovation speed? Share your thoughts. Subscribe for more battlefield innovation analysis. Thanks for watching.